Hello, and thanks for clicking and taking the time to watch this little video. This is a short film about a father and daughter adventure. It takes place in November 2012. It was more of a follow-up to a little family vacation that we took in August of 2012 prior to going back to school. We had a little bit of time and needing a little adventure, we took off to Mammoth Caves, where we've been before and always enjoyed. We stayed there 1 or 2 nights, I don't remember, at the lodge, and we did 2 days worth of tours, and we did all the really good ones, the long walking tours, and I think the best tours. And I scheduled them so we could do as many as possible. Towards the end of our time there, we were walking out one of the big thoroughfares there with the high walls and the huge cave walls, and out of nowhere, this group of spelunkers shows up. They come out of a little hole in the wall, and they're all dirty, wearing coveralls, but they're all smiling and really look like they're having a great time. Well, it didn't escape my notice or my daughter's notice, and we thought that would be really, really cool. We have to do that. And I asked the guide about it, and he said that was the Mammoth Cave Wild Cave Tour. And we looked into it, and it was pretty clear we weren't going to be able to do it then at that time. For both lack of time and lack of desire for the other two vacation participants. Anyway, so we got home and we looked at the calendar and decided that sometime around winter break would be a good time to do it. And the nice thing about caving is that it doesn't matter what the weather's like on the outside, because it's always the same inside. Same temperature, same humidity, year-round, every day. So, we planned it for, my daughter and I planned it for late November 2012, and a long weekend. So I drove down to Ohio State University, where my daughter was a sophomore at that time, and picked her up there at the dorm, and we drove on down to Mammoth Cave National Park, and we stayed at the lodge there, which was really kind of nice. And we ate there at the restaurant there at the lodge, and it was
Lots of meat tonight. Go to a steakhouse.
at the lodge, and it was really pretty good. It was very home style, very country, but it was also pretty good quality and a pretty good value. We also ate there the next morning too before leaving on the trip. So we got up early, had a breakfast that morning, and met up with the tour group and hopped on the bus and got the orientation and got our coveralls and our helmets and our bandanas and our knee pads, and we were instructed what we could do, what we shouldn't do, what we definitely shouldn't do. And and here's both the photos in the film from that trip.
Yeah, coveralls. So we'll do that and give you knee pads. That's really awkward. So you guys should all have a bandana within your helmet. Does everyone know how to tie a bandana?
Yeah, I think Grace can tie a bandana pretty well, can't you, dear?
Yeah, maybe not. That's okay. If you don't, fold it in half in a triangle shape. Put that hypotenuse on your forehead. Tie it in the back.
Perhaps some of you aren't aware, but Mammoth Cave is located in central Kentucky and has recently been declared the largest cave network in the world, with over 400 miles of passages, and they're still exploring the park and finding new passageways. It was discovered in 1797 by settlers, and 1 million or so people visit the park every year, but not everybody goes on these specialty trips. There's a whole bunch of tours you can take, and they range from 1 to 6 hours, and they range in their strenuousness. But I'll tell you, the Wild Cave Tour was extremely strenuous, and I'm not exaggerating that at all. Other parks in the national park system are way more diverse than Mammoth Caves, with way more activities. But, Mammoth Cave is really about one thing, and that's the cave. Here's a little bit from description of the Wild Cave Tour. Face the darkness and the challenge. Journey with experienced guide and a small group of adults through some of the starkly beautiful yet physically demanding wild areas of the cave. Climb, crawl, squeeze, hike, and canyon walk in the realm of Mammoth Cave. See places no other tourists encounter and feel the thrill of exploration. Time, 6 hours. Distance, 5 miles. Difficulty, extremely strenuous, and they mean that. Pay attention to that. And then you need to keep reading in on the description, because here's another important part. Chest or hip measurements must not exceed 42 inches. If you are larger, you may not physically pass through the crawl spaces. And I can attest to this. When I first read that, I thought, oh man, I'm definitely bigger than 42 inches. I don't know if I can do this. And I called, and they explained that, if your physical ability was up to it, you could probably do most of these things. And the other cool thing is that a lot of these really small, tight places is they have walkarounds. I fit through everything: the Bear Hole, Christine's, all the other really tight places. The only place I couldn't get through was the birth canal, and I tried and I tried and I tried, but eventually one of the guides took me on the walk around. It really wasn't that bad. It was just probably took me about 2 minutes to walk around and join up with the rest of the group again. Mammoth Cave National Park is, for those of you who aren't aware, particularly easy to get to. It's located in southwestern central Kentucky and is almost exactly an hour and a half south of Louisville and an hour and a half north of Nashville, Tennessee. You could fly into either Louisville or Nashville and rent a car, or just drive as we did. Something to keep in mind too is that you need to buy tickets and make reservations.
I'm just filming you leaving.
Tickets are required to go into the cave regardless of the type of tour you're taking. While you aren't required to make reservations, it's strongly recommended, as the tours do sell out and there's rarely walk-in spots available. Something to keep in mind too is that the Wild Cave Tour, I believe, only runs on Saturdays and Sundays on the weekend. We drove down on a Friday, but you have to book in advance. You cannot make a same-day reservation. You can't just walk in for that trip. You have to be prepared and make a reservation well in advance. You should also keep in mind too that Mammoth Cave is in the central time zone. Even though it's directly south of Louisville in the eastern, it is for some reason in the central time zone. So pay attention to your times. If you haven't got the idea already, the Wild Cave Tour is pretty intense and awesome, but it is not for everyone. There are several requirements that you need to keep in mind if you want to go on this tour. And these are for the safety for you and for the safety of the cave and the environment. They won't let you on the tour unless you follow all of these. You must be at least 16 years of age, and there's a boot requirement. You must have over-the-ankle lace boots with an aggressive tread, no zip-up boots, and definitely no tennis shoes or anything like that. And also, this is important to follow too, there's no personal caving equipment allowed. You will be provided with everything you need, including overalls, gloves, helmet, knee pads, and a headlamp. And you'll give those back at the end of the tour, and this is to minimize the spread of white nose syndrome, which has been killing millions and millions of bats all over the country and this cave system. In order for the tour to run, they need to be at least 2 visitors, 2 people signed up for the cave. And as I mentioned before, chest or hip size must be 42 inches or less. You will not fit the crawl spaces if you are bigger, and they mean this literally. Well, kind of anyway.
Hey.
Now take that right knee up, pull yourself
How you
up
doing?
there.
Tell me how you're doing.
I'm dreading this.
Good. Step on up here.
Probably one of the easier things you've done today.
Get up there. Okay. Reach up there and grab something. Pull yourself up.
You also need to bring a snack, something that you can carry with you easily, because there will be a break in the Snowball Dome room, which is kind of a giant cavern that's been used historically as a lunch area, dining area, and depending what time of the year is, they actually have a concession stand set up there where you can buy lunch. But when we went in November, it was not in operation, so they do have water there, and they do have restrooms for your convenience.
Okay, right foot here. Left hand.
So here's a brief synopsis of how the trip's going to go for you. Once you're all geared up, you'll load up into a school bus, and they'll take you to the entrance of the cave. You'll go down a long staircase, and just like other tour, you'll end up in a large dome kind of cavern. But unlike other tours, you'll quickly branch off into the really hard to reach areas of the cave. When you first get down the cave, it's going to seem a little chilly to you, but don't worry about that. You're going to get warmed up really quickly. And they don't really throw you into the hard stuff right away. They want to see what you can do. So it usually starts out with, tunnels and pathways that are crawlable on your hands and knees to get you going. And then shortly after that, they put you to the test. You'll be twisting and squeezing your body through small holes you never thought you could fit through, like the bear hole, like I mentioned earlier, which has got its name because it's so tight that people have lost their clothes when wriggling through it, and thus they are bare. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but we were wearing jumpsuits, so there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity for losing clothing. So after this initial test, your guides will customize your tour to the ability of the group. After they see, what everybody's able to do early on there, you'll have a guide through most of the trip. You'll have a guide in front and a guide behind you at all times, and your headlamp is more than enough light to see where you need to go, and it will be a hell of a lot of fun. Every tight passageway ends in a much more comfortable cavern where you can stand, collect yourself for a bit before moving on to the next one. You won't be stuck in small places for the entire tour. Overall, the Wild Cave Tour is just an amazing experience. Especially for the price. It delivers everything you could possibly want and more. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I highly recommend it to anyone who has an adventurous spirit. Don't be afraid of the tight places. Don't be afraid of the height. If you're halfway physically fit and you got a little bit of adventurous spirit in you, go do it. You'll love it.